When things aren't going right for your team, you scream at the television. When things are going right, you throw up a fist pump. The Win Column Sports Network puts your passion into words. Along with our affiliates Below the Ice, Duncan Duma, and Backbreaker Media, the Win Column Sports Network provides professional level coverage of semi-professional franchises, athletes, and organizations in Edmonton. Get in the Win Column with a fan's perspective on local sports with stories you can only find online at wincolumnsports.ca.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is almighty Christopher Daniels, and I'm currently in Edmonton, and this is the worst town I've ever been in. But the bright side is you are listening to Over the Top Rope. You're welcome.
Bumbling intro.
We're off to the races.
Hello, friends. Of course, as mentioned, Spencer Love, Chris Parrish, your regular hosts of Over the Top Rope. We are on the road to WrestleMania. Yes, Elimination Chamber taking place today. And for the second time this episode, or I guess second time on this episode of Over the Top Rope, Rich King joining us as our special guest on the show. Rich, great to have you back on the show. Thank you for joining us the night after MPW Evil Intentions. Hell of a match last night. MPW wrestler Chris Parrish, we can finally say again on the show. But guys,
and
unfortunately, fair enough, and Pure Power Wrestling about the Elimination Chamber here at Beercade YEG, of course, the home of Edmonton Professional Wrestling. $4 menu items, $4 beverages that I know that we are all going to be enjoying a ton of today. And, of course, Elimination Chamber, the final pay-per-view prior to WrestleMania. Make sure you get down here. The pre-show starts in about half an hour. The main card at 5 p.m., but we will be going for about an hour giving our thoughts on this evening's card. Guys, overall heading into it, what do you think of the build so far to Elimination Chamber and I guess the card itself? Parrish, let's start with you.
I actually think the card's pretty weak, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't think there's a...
I think your mic's not on. That's better.
There we go.
It wasn't plugged in, and that was not what I was doing. But no, I think it's a weak card, and I don't think they... I think they're just there to settle the final directions going into WrestleMania. That's how I always feel the pay-per-view before Mania goes.
Okay.
But with that being said, it's, again, an opportunity for everyone to prove why they belong on WrestleMania and to prove a point. Mm-hmm. So I really hope that everyone is taking this opportunity to pinpoint exactly why there should be a staple on WrestleMania, not just this year, but also going into next season as well.
Cool. Rich, your thoughts?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. It's a little bit of a weaker card, especially for an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view and the pay-per-view going into WrestleMania. But it's tough with Super Showdown and all that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah.
It feels like for WrestleMania there's some matches set in stone, but there's a lot of people that are kind of directionless right now.
Yep.
And I hope that this show kind of establishes a little bit more of that story, kind of like what you were saying, to get there. But this kind of feels like a mid-card pay-per-view for me. A couple matches I'm excited for, but for the most part, it's going to kind of round out the bottom of the card for WrestleMania, I think.
Well, one thing to touch up on that, just the mid-card feel, there's no Universal and no WWE title on this show. So it kind of doesn't feel like you're getting anything special because you're getting absolutely none of the top titles. So it kind of feels like,
well, that
feels like a throwaway.
In years prior to, you'd have the Elimination Chamber to determine the number one contender or, like you said, the Universal Championship. But there's no major stakes, I guess, for the top of the card for this one.
And I guess for a lot of that, and I know we'll get into it as we go through the matches here, but I guess a lot of that is an indictment on how they've sort of built to it, because in my humble opinion, like, the Elimination Chamber itself, one of the coolest stipulation matches out there.
Oh, one of my
favorite.
favorite.
I think that the women's Elimination Chamber match is going to be an absolute barn burner. I do like the way that they've tied stories together as far as it goes, but they haven't done a great job of making it feel like a feature match. You know what I mean? It's just felt like another storyline on Raw, where if you're getting into the chamber, like they've sort of done with the tag teams as well, you need to make it feel like the big match, especially like you guys say, it's not going to be for the championship. It's going to be for a #1 contendership in the case of the women's, or in the tag team sense, where they haven't done a great job over the last sort of year as far as building that. But I know that we're going to talk about those as far as our main events go. Mike, lead us into the card, my friend.
Well, unfortunately, the first match, ironically enough, I don't even have a match graphic for it because Triple H just announced it prior to the pre-show here.
Okay.
Viking Raiders, Hawkins and Ryder.
All right, I'm going to take the Viking Raiders, and I think we can move on.
Anything, boys?
Why are they doing this?
If my words can explain the offense of Hawkins and Ryder, Rich?
You know, I like Hawkins and Ryder, but they're good little bottom of the card guys to feed to Viking Raiders. They don't need to be on a pre-show. This should be a dark match, if anything. Like you can definitely book something a little bit more strong.
I've got
with
no
the tag
issue.
Hawkins
team.
and Riders are on a card, but the revival can't get used. Vince,
No,
come on.
that's
a whole other
backstage
story,
thing.
yeah.
Still,
let's get real here.
Come
But
on.
you know, I've got no
Broski and
issue.
woo, woo, woo. That's all
I've
gonna
got
say.
no issue with
flips.
Hawkins and Ryder. I think they're entertaining enough. But like for this to be a match that they just like, it feels like a throwaway match, and I feel like any match is going to have a little bit of a meh feel to it. Doing this, there's been really no build to it. It feels like they're doing it just to keep the Viking Raiders on the card, which I guess on my end isn't a complaint because I really enjoy them. But if the Viking Raiders don't win this, I am going to be a very, very surprised individual.
I mean, they did
I'll be
absolutely
mad.
squash the Fiend to Goldberg, so worse things can happen.
Yeah, anytime you get to see the Viking Raiders, I'm always a fan. Those guys are incredible, but again, right now I feel like you don't see as much as you can with it, and I think we spent too much time talking about this match.
100%, Mike. Let's just move it on. I think we're all in agreement. Let's just finalize it. Viking Raiders?
Skull.
Raiders?
Yeah.
Raiders?
Skull.
Skull.
Under 5 minutes.
Starting next month, we're going to have to make these picks are going to be important. So.
Exactly.
You're gonna
We'll
write these
again
down and
discuss
make it
that at
official,
the end of the show. That's why we got to move it a little quicker. God.
Oh, we got time.
Do your production.
All right. Going on to our
And we'll
next
give our prediction.
Our next match here, which I think you guys are going to want to talk a lot about, we got Drew Gulick taking on Daniel Bryan.
I like how they've tied these sort of guys into Daniel Bryan storylines over the last little bit. Now, mind you, and this is nothing against Drew Gulick, but does it feel a little bit lower than Bryan should be heading into a WrestleMania? I think absolutely, but it's great for Drew Gulick to be featured more, even if it is, for me, inevitable that he's going to lose to Daniel Bryan on this card. If they give this one even a little bit of time, they're going to do a great job. Drew Gulick is a fantastic professional wrestler. He's a former trainer at Chikara. He is a terrific technical guy. He's a guy that could really, really have a great match with a guy like Daniel Bryan if given the opportunity. Now, if they have this just sort of be the typical what you would expect when you get a Daniel Bryan versus on the WWE echelon Drew Gulick, this could go for 30 seconds with Daniel Bryan hitting the running knee, hitting the label lock, and proverbially wiping his hands. I don't want to hit the microphones, but proverbially wiping his hands and sort of taking off. Yeah. If that's what happens, then it's the right decision at the end of the day, too, because Daniel Bryan's that good, and you got to keep him looking good going into Mania. But give it some time. It'll be great. Yeah. Daniel Bryan wins, though. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I think I think they will get some time for this just because it is kind of what we mentioned. It's kind of a lower card pay-per-view. These two guys are extremely talented. Daniel Bryan's probably one of the guys I've been watching more and more of. I hope that there might be some post-match angle or something going on. But it's a good opportunity to showcase Drew Gulick, what he can do. He has a good character that I think can really get some heat behind him. I think this can be a really good showcase match for him, similar to what we've seen with Buddy Murphy, with Ali in the past, with Cedric Alexander. Yeah. Again, those haven't led to the biggest pushes in the world, but it still established them as kind of main roster talent rather than just be on 205. So I'm really excited about this one and the potential it could have.
Good call. Parrish, your thoughts?
See, I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to explain why.
Drew Gulick squashes Bryan.
Oh, God. I feel this is one of those matches that
list.
Daniel Bryan got to handpick. He's like, I want to work with this guy.
Yep.
And this match is going to happen. I have a feeling this isn't going to be a one-off.
You think this is
You
a
think
Mania
you're going to
one,
get Gulick and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania?
I think it could be a pre-show because I don't think they have really done much for Daniel Bryan to be a main staple for Mania. By now,
I would disagree on that. I think
you
that
aren't leading into something, you're not one of the major matches on Mania, and I very well could see him being an opening match, or possibly an Austin Aries Neville type situation.
I don't think you're going to
And
put Daniel Bryan on the
can't-
pre-show just for
yeah.
the fact that people buy. It's the same reason that, like, despite how much it's still something I disagree with,
And just how
it's the
much he
same reason
resonates
you
with
get
people.
Goldberg in there because people will buy
But he
into
very
something
well
like
could
that,
be the
right?
opening match at WrestleMania.
The opening match at
That's
WrestleMania
fine.
is the second most important match at
Exactly.
WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I just think that they'll have him go against another marquee star just on the basis that there are so many guys like a Daniel Bryan or Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins. Like, there are a lot of name guys that need to get on the main card. And
last
nothing
year-
against, again, Drew Gulak, but you talk about people who over the last year have really built themselves up. Like, you need to get, so if Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens is the direction, you need to get Buddy Murphy on the card somewhere because objectively, he's done more than a Drew Gulak.
Well, you
right?
also
Now,
do
that's
have
going
the
into
Andre
a lot
the
more
Giant
than
Memorial Battle Royal, and that's an easy throw-in match. But I am going to say they're probably going to lead to a secondary match. This might not lead to a Mania match, but it's going to lead to a secondary match. I'm going to go with Drew Gulak gets a cheap win because he's been helping and he's been shown with someone, I believe.
Yeah, I'm
Right?
trying to remember who it is, too.
Was it Tony Nese or was it somebody else?
No, I think he already beat Tony Nese, didn't
But-
he?
yeah,
And they've sort of
he beat
transitioned
Tony
on
But-
that end.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I believe Drew Gulak.
205.
Yeah, I think this is where it's going to lead. So I think there's going to be a secondary match. I'm taking Drew Gulak for the win because it's the last show where I can actually do some daring and bold. To make a bold move.
And starts talking about his balls again.
Pretty
And then
much.
Unwashed balls.
Well, let's go on to
Where's that referee? He'll wash them for you.
a no disqualification contest between Aleister Black and AJ Styles.
I like this. I like this a lot. I don't even hate. There's a lot of people, at least that I've seen on my Twitter timeline, that had a lot of issues with the way that they presented the match last week, where it was supposed to be Black versus AJ Styles, and they transitioned into that gauntlet match. But I really like what this set up. Now, there are a couple of ways that this could go. Do I think that The Undertaker is going to make some sort of appearance or lead to an Aleister Black win? I do. I think it's going to be the gong. I think that it's going to lead to a black mass, and I think it's going to lead to a 1, 2, 3 for Aleister Black. Whether The Undertaker actually appears or not, I'm not 100% certain, and to be honest with you, I don't think he will, just because, well, the WWE is fiscally conservative, and they do not want to have to pay Mean Mark Calloway lots of money to come and appear right now when you can have him be coming onto the road to WrestleMania, quote unquote, in my opinion, in a more needed manner if he's coming on Monday Night Raw and facing off with Styles there. That'll help build to WrestleMania more. If all you need to do is hit the gong, hit the black mass, and I think that AJ Styles takes back his loss for the win that he got last week on Aleister Black. Is it going to be a hell of a match? I think this has the potential to be the match of the night for sure, 100%. If it wasn't for the Elimination Chamber matches, just because of how much I love the stipulation, this would be a runaway for my match of the night. But we got more to talk about later. I will say that this could be a match of the night. Will it? We'll see. You'll find out my full predictions at the end of the show.
Stay tuned for more.
You're a worse politician than Justin Trudeau.
Hey, we don't talk about politics on this podcast.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm talking about Justin Trudeau.
We're a middle of the line.
But no, with that being said, I 100% agree with you that we're going to see a tease with The Undertaker. I wouldn't be surprised if we just saw the black light, or possibly with the addition of Pyro now, we get the lightning strike because he's known for the lightning.
Sick.
And I think I think AJ is going to be distracted to the black mass. I think it just makes sense for Aleister Black not only to win, but this is a match to make him a big star leading, I think, going after the day of Mania. You always want to have that guy, like, next guy the day after Mania.
Yep.
And I think Aleister Black is going to be that guy on Raw. So I think it starts here.
I mean this in the most complimentary way possible, but like you talk about people who could win the Andre the Giant, like, do I think it's the ideal spot for a guy like Aleister Black on WrestleMania's card this year? No, because I personally really enjoy the guy. I think that he's built for, bigger and better things than that. But logically looking at it, like, is there a singles opponent for Aleister Black at Mania? Not particularly, in my opinion. So Could he win the Andre the Giant? Absolutely. The other thing that I saw some people kicking around was the idea of a handicap tag team match, Undertaker and Black versus the OC. And just personally, no, no. Too many cooks in the kitchen as far as I'm concerned with that one.
Yeah, we all know what happened to Nathan Jones, and we don't want to go there again.
I don't know what happened with Nathan Jones.
I think every man in that whole situation is better than Nathan Jones.
But either way, I just don't think something like that's necessary. So Aleister Black could potentially win that, but that's a conversation for the WrestleMania edition of OTTR Live. Rich, your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree with you guys. This is a star-making match.
Ben Omen?
This is going to
Big pound to
be
you too.
You owe me $5.
Yeah, Ben throws a comment in here.
my
He does.
referee. Come back to me, baby. Yeah. Anyways, Ben always throws me off. He's such a simp, so it's
It's okay. Your thoughts on Aleister Black
Aleister Black
AJ
versus
Styles?
AJ Styles. That's my I'm most excited for this match out of all the matches on the card. I am a huge AJ Styles fan, have been since TNA days. He just keeps getting better and better and better. And Aleister Black, I think, is one of the more underutilized guys. People talk about Cesaro and Rusev, but I really think Aleister Black is one of those guys that's really being overlooked for the main event style, main event picture, I guess you could say. Now, again, I totally agree with you guys. The Undertaker Gong, Black Mass, that should be the finish. Does WWE always do what should be the finish? No. So I have a feeling that we see a little bit of OC distraction during this one. It's no disqualification, so they can get involved if they need to. That gives Styles some more TV time on the road to WrestleMania with Black if they want to. But I think we end up seeing Styles beat Black. And then the Undertaker Gong. Undertaker shows up. Tombstone.
Okay.
That's it.
Sounds
that's all.
good. Now, Mike, by my math, this is our last match before we hit a commercial here on OTTR Live, correct?
We were going to go 4 and 3, but that little pre-show match. So I like your thinking on this one.
All right, give us one more match, but before we do that, let's give a couple of cheap plugs because at the end of this show, we do have a Michael Richard Blaze shirt, courtesy of Pro Wrestling Tees, that we will be giving away. So stay tuned for the end of the show.
Can I win that?
Yeah, you are eligible. You liked, share, and subscribe. You did the 3 required things, so do not forget to stay tuned after the show. We will be sending it out, but you don't want to miss it live. It's always best to find out when you won free stuff as it happens. Make sure to stay tuned for that as well.
And as
Mike's
well,
got some words.
right behind Spencer's shoulder there, you can see a little poster up there.
Oh, this one.
Come down tonight to Beercade and you get a chance to win 2 tickets.
I think you can only
to
see
the-
half of it. I'm trying to angle.
Yeah, well, the Bret Hart meet and greet on May 30th. You can win 2 tickets for that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. If you've got the opportunity to head down to Beercade YEG, do so. You've got even 15 minutes between our break. That's over exaggerating, but
6.
it'll get the people down here. 6 minutes before we
Just
come back
get
on
down here,
OTTR
people.
Live. For a lot of you, that is enough time. I know where a lot of our viewers are at in Edmonton, Alberta. Head down to Beercade YEG if you've got the opportunity to. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. It's going to be another great match that Mike's going to tell us what we're going to preview.
Well, let's go to the U.S. title match here with Andrade defending against Humberto Carrillo.
Now, let's start on the wider scope of this before I think we all narrow it down. I think between all 3 of us, like, they've got to be leading to a fatal 4-way at WrestleMania between these 2 individuals
I don't
involved.
understand why this wasn't a chamber match and they didn't add like a Ricochet or somebody else to it. Like, I think the U.S. title is one of those titles on the roster that needs more like highlighting, and I think this
agree.
would have been a proper time to do it.
Ricochet's too busy going for the 24/7 championship now.
Well,
That's his title.
He's only losing to a man who has a really good taste in finishing moves.
Well played. But I do think you've got the right idea with it, but I do think that Andrade and Rey Mysterio and Samoa Joe prior to him, you know, it was unfortunate with the timing of Samoa Joe's injuries, but I think they've done a really good job of trying to build up the United States title over the last little bit, and especially, in my opinion, since Andrade won it from Mysterio in that ladder match, they've done an retained it. He won it the week before, if I remember correctly. My apologies.
Something along those lines. They
But
bounce back and forth.
yeah, but I think since that match, they've really established it as a title for people to covet. I think they've done a good job of sort of rebuilding it from the dark days that people sort of had it prior to these guys wrestling the Mysterio and Samoa Joe match at Mania. They've just done a really good job, and I think that despite the fact that Humberto perhaps hasn't taken off the way the WWE or a lot of people thought he would, when like the guy was taken 16th overall in the WWE draft. They really had high expectations for him. Now, he hasn't taken off, but I think that Mysterio's been at his top of his game for the last little bit. Andrade is one of the best wrestlers in the world, in my opinion. And Angel Garza over the last little bit has been a huge game changer.
If he's not the
as far
breakout
as the
star of
U.S. title
2020
chain.
as of right now, I want to know who would be.
I have no complaints with that comment.
100%.
Like, he's been absolutely incredible. So I think that perhaps he factors in. You've seen him paired with Zelina Gomez. Zelina Vega, that's embarrassing.
You gotta love
This is why
Zelina
Vince
Gomez.
took him down to one name now.
Yeah.
With Zelina Vega, excuse me. They've done a great job of sort of making it seem.
We're not drinking before one of these ever again.
No, never.
We got to get you focused, brother.
It's a time change, guys. Like, let's get serious.
Thank you, Rich. That's what I'm going to blame
Okay,
instead.
yeah, we can still drink then.
But I think that they've done a great job of making them seem like equal clients for Vega. You know what I mean? Like, when Andrade came back, I was scared that they were really going to drop Angel Garza off the map, and they've done a great job of keeping him relevant. I think they're going to continue to do so tonight. I think that he's going to get involved somehow on Andrade's behalf. That's going to bring in Rey Mysterio, and that'll kickstart the build to the WrestleMania Fatal 4-Way. Now, I think as part of all of that, Andrade retains. You're going to see him win dirty somehow, try and build that sympathy for Humberto Carrillo, and go from there.
You tried.
I did try. It's never gonna sound good. It's never gonna sound good on my behalf.
Why don't you just do it like on like the water boy, like Humberto?
Because that sounded worse. I know, it's really worse than anything I've ever done.
Water boy. But does anybody else like look at like the potential of doing? I'm wondering if we're gonna see something bigger. I 100% can see Andrade take the title to WrestleMania, but I wouldn't be surprised for a shock and awe. If this is the #1 shock and awe of the night, we see a new United States champion, and because of that, I'm going to predict a new United States champion because I do think at some point they need to take the U.S. title off Andrade to bring him up. This could be the best way of doing it.
Yes and no. I think that it would be an odd decision. Again, you're heading into WrestleMania. In my opinion, like a lot of the stuff that you're planning right now, you have to factor into people do buy WrestleMania as a pay-per-view, right? Like, again, I go back to the Goldberg example, which I know that all three of us hate just based on the way that the way that Goldberg did come back. He did only do that.
No way a Falcon can ever beat anyone.
Okay, that has not what?
Bill Goldberg's a Falcon. I'm a divisional rival fan. They
I thought
suck.
we were
You
playing
are
Super
like
Smash Bros. I
bringing
thought it
back
was like a Captain Falcon thing.
1995 facts here. What the hell?
But personally, like the only person that I could see taking the championship off of Andrade heading into WrestleMania would be Rey Mysterio, just based on the fact that you will get those people who were fans in the 90s that say, oh, Rey Mysterio's heading into this as still champ. I wonder what that's going to be like. You're always looking to bring those fans back. You're always looking to bring new fans in based on recognizable names. And I think that outside of Rey Mysterio, Andrade is that guy. Like we said, I don't think Humberto's taken off the way that WWE wanted him to. I don't think Angel Garza has been on the main roster long enough for him to be that guy, though he has been fantastic. I think that Andrade is your best bet, and if Rey Mysterio is part of that match, I think that that's enough to sort of bring people in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you both bring up really good points. I like the idea of going into like a fatal 4-way match between them all. I also like the idea of turning Humberto into a heel and kind of pairing the three of them together.
Yeah.
So then they become Selena Gomez's little crew there. Hey, Spencer?
I'm never going to live that one down.
Nope.
That was tough.
Probably not. Zelina Vega there.
Really coded that one.
It's almost as bad as Lumberjack Luke.
God rest Lumberjack Luke's soul.
Nothing ever is as bad as Lumberjack Luke.
Frozen in the ice in northern Manitoba. I can still hear him screaming.
After sleeping the night before in a school gymnasium.
Yeah, exactly. Poor guy.
Fair enough.
His heat's so ineffective that the road still stayed frozen.
All right.
So
anyways.
you've taken Humberto. I have taken Andrade. Rich, you were the tiebreaker on this one before we head to commercial on OTTR Live.
He takes
So-
Selena Vega.
I will pick Selena Vega all day if I'm given the chance.
Let Aleister Black hear you say that.
Honestly, though, I think with Andrade coming back from suspension, the U.S. title has just been mirrored with injuries and these weird situations come up, I think WWE is going to kind of prove a point here, take the title off on Andrade.
Okay.
So I'm going to side with Parrish on this one, say Humberto gets the win, goes into WrestleMania, and I think they can build towards something. They need to do something a little bit different with this angle, because it is starting to feel a little bit more like, oh, they're doing this again, and they're doing this again, and they're doing this again. There's only so many times you can see a hammerlock DDT on the outside of the ring, right?
I just feel, too, he proved his point by beating Rey Mysterio time and time again. If he does that with Humberto Carrillo,
Are live down here at Beercade YEG. It is 105th Street and 82nd Avenue in Edmonton, Alberta. It's the home of Edmonton Professional Wrestling. Now, Mike, take us to commercial.
Well, before we go, it looks like Rich has got a special guest with him here going into the break. Just to see the great food that we have here at Beercade.
Cheap plug.
I got to cheap this plug because it's not going to be here by the end of the break. Look at that burger. Look at that burger.
Two guys with no hair talking about cheap plugs.
But with that, we're gonna.
You're a prick.
We're gonna take it to commercial break here. We're gonna be back in about 6 minutes time. With we got a couple new commercials in here, so
That we do.
with that, we will be back in about 6 minutes or so. So stay tuned.
When things aren't going right for your team, you scream at the television. When things are going right, you throw up a fist pump. The Win Column Sports Network puts your passion into words. Along with our affiliates Below the Ice, Duncan Duma, and Backbreaker Media, the Win Column Sports Network provides professional level coverage of semi-professional franchises, athletes, and organizations in Edmonton. Get in the Win Column with a fan's perspective on local sports with stories you can only find online at wincolumnsports.ca.
McDonald to Daryl Sutter, Mark Messier to Cale Makar. Before you're a star, you've got to make it in the AJHL. On Saturday mornings, TSN 1260 takes an in-depth look inside the Alberta Junior Hockey League. Join Tyler Yaremchuk from 9 to 10 a.m. for previews, reviews, and interviews from around the AJ. Inside the AJHL, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. Only on Edmonton's sports leader, TSN 1260.
Hello friends, this is Spencer Love, the host of Conversations with Love, the exclusive one-on-one interview series sweeping the nation, or at the very least, the great province of Alberta, Canada. Tune in weekly to Backbreaker Media, a proud member of the Win Column Sports Network, as I host a member of the independent wrestling community here in Alberta, or wherever the hell I feel like interviewing somebody from. You can only find it on Backbreaker Media, a proud member of the Win Column Sports Network, and proudly sponsored by Beercade YEG.
Are you looking for the newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and Hunts with fresh content added. Get your free trial today at
indie shows and interviews with all the amazing talents that we have around here. If you want to know what's happening in Albertan wrestling, then look no further than the Win Column Sports Network and the WrestleSode podcast. Thanks for listening, and I hope to hear from you soon.
When things aren't going right for your team, you scream at the television. When things are going right, you throw up a fist pump. The Win Column Sports Network puts your passion into words. Along with our affiliates Below the Ice, Duncan Duma, and Backbreaker Media, the Win Column Sports Network provides professional level coverage of semi-professional franchises, athletes, and organizations in Edmonton. Get in the Win Column with a fan's perspective on local sports with stories you can only find online at wincolumnsports.ca.
Sutter, Mark Messier to Cale Makar. Before you're a star, you've got to make it in the AJHL. On Saturday mornings, TSN 1260 takes an in-depth look inside the Alberta Junior Hockey League. Join Tyler Yaremchuk from 9 to 10 a.m. for previews, reviews, and interviews from around the AJ. Inside the AJHL, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. Only on Edmonton's sports leader, TSN 1260.
Hello, friends. This is Spencer Love, the host of Conversations with Love, the exclusive one-on-one interview series sweeping the nation, or at the very least, the great province of Alberta, Canada. Tune in weekly to Backbreaker Media, a proud member of the Win Column Sports Network, as I host a member of the independent wrestling community here in Alberta, or wherever the hell I feel like interviewing somebody from. You can only find it on Backbreaker Media, a proud member of the Win Column Sports Network, and proudly sponsored by Beercade YEG.
Are you looking for the newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and hundreds of others with fresh content added every day for only $5.99 per month. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
Hey everyone, sorry to interrupt, but my name is Anthony from the WrestleSode podcast, a member of the Win Column Sports Network. WrestleSode is a podcast that dives into the Albertan wrestling scene by reviewing local indie shows and interviews with all the amazing talents that we have around here. If you want to know what's happening in Albertan wrestling, then look no further than the Win Column Sports Network and the WrestleSode podcast. Thanks for listening, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Welcome back to the only podcast blocked by WrestlingWithWrestling.com, Over the Top Rope Live.
I'm proud of it.
Welcome back. No, they are not fans of ours, but the feeling's mutual. This is Spencer Love. As we mentioned prior to the show's break, Rich King joining us as our special guest for the show, and my longtime co-host, Krish Parrish, returning. There's a lot of Krishes. It's like talking like Sean Connery.
I'll take anal bum covers for 1,000.
It's album covers.
What about the penis mightier?
It's the pen is mightier.
Doesn't matter, but does it work?
Now maybe I should have set the standard a little lower, but we are not, of course, Wrestling with Wrestling. We are Over the Top Rope Live. We're a steak dinner compared to the fast food of the wrestling journalism world. Welcome back to the only live show that matters, live from Beercade YEG. Mike, a couple more matches to take us through, 3 more to be specific as far as Elimination Chamber goes, if my math is correct, or
Which is not.
did we go 5-2 on that one?
No, it's actually 4-4 tonight.
Because we got 4.
Because we have the
got 4
Viking
There we
Raiders.
go. That one threw me off. My apologies. Sorry, math is hard.
It's tax season. Math can be stressful.
See, I'm the seasoning on. Thank goodness Backbreaker Media is the seasoning on the steak here. But let's move on to our next matchup here with a handicap match for the Intercontinental Championship. Braun Strowman defending against Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro, and Sami Zayn.
Okay, my question is, if whoever pins Strowman is the champion?
I think it's all for Nak.
I think it's a sort of, was it Kelly that split the championship with the women's
No,
championship?
Michelle McCool.
There we go, Lay Cool. My apologies.
I was going to say she
Could
split
it
a lot
be?
of things with a lot of people, but that's not here nor there.
Could it be like a situation like that? I genuinely don't know, and I think the lack of clarity, at least as far as it goes for me, just leads me to believe that Braun Strowman's going to win this one. Now, to be honest with you, I don't hate the concept. I think with any monster like this, whether it's years ago, you're looking at like the Big Show or Big Van Vader or guys like that.
Gonzalez.
You've got to build them up to look as monsters. Maybe not.
Great call.
But you've got to build those guys up as monsters. And is a handicap match against 3 established talents the way to do it? I think, yeah, it is. But in my humble opinion, I don't think that the 3 guys that they've selected are the 3 guys that I would like to see utilized, just based on the fact that, A, they're personal favorites, and B, I think that they're guys that are really, really talented professional wrestlers. Could you potentially see this happening against, like, I know storyline-wise it doesn't fit, but say like Lucha House Party or something along those lines where, yes, they are quote-unquote established main roster talents, but guys who are a little bit more in that role where they are losing time and time again. Now, again, I know that Sami Zayn, Cesaro, Nakamura, they've been put in that role since Nakamura lost the championship, but they're just not my personal favorites to be in this role. So, great idea, poor execution in my opinion, but Braun Strowman's walking into WrestleMania as the Intercontinental Champion. I don't see any way that happens unless they do bring back someone from the past, like the Great Khali, because as we know, if you've wrestled a 3-minute match 20 years ago, you could walk into WrestleMania at pretty well any year as a champion.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, I have a lot to say about this one. Holy, like, what are we doing here with this? Like,
I tried to play it down the middle. I
WWE
like your style.
Go any further in neutering Braun Strowman from where he was to where he is now? Like,
What about the Intercontinental title?
Well, again, that's the same thing. It's like you neuter the monster among men. This guy that would come in, he destroys everything. He's pulling things down. He's breaking cars. Like, outlandish stuff, but amazing, right?
Yep.
That's what the crowd loved about him.
Yep.
And now he's dancing with the New Day and doing Symphony of Destruction matches with Elias, right? Like, what? Why? Why are we
do
doing
that?
this?
But I
And
think
then-
that they've got to be a lot more selective with it than they have been.
And then look at the talent on the other side. You're effectively killing 3 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn as a manager, amazing. I love it. I think it adds a new wrinkle into his game.
Yep.
He doesn't have to wrestle all the time, and that's something that, that's going to elongate his career long term.
And make it special when he does wrestle, because the
He's
guy's
a new
incredible.
Johnny Polo.
Shut up,
Yes.
Parrish.
Think about it.
It's a bad take.
Raven was Johnny Polo.
Take a
Sami
sip.
Zayn could be. I just did.
Anyways.
But it helped Raven.
So look on the other side of the coin. So now you have Braun Strowman. You could have a great match with Cesaro one-on-one.
Yeah.
Cesaro is probably the most underutilized talent on the WWE roster. And there's a guy I want to see against Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. Thinking about it, him or Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yep.
That is an IC title match. That's a good little match right there. But that's not going to happen.
Yep.
Because Braun Strowman's going to beat all 3 of them, effectively turning Nakamura and Cesaro into a glorified tag team similar to Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler, throwing together single stars. And then, they'll probably have a little bit of a push in the tag division and then move on their merry way and keep toiling in the bottom of the roster. But I'm not happy about this match. It's not one I'm looking forward to at all. They could throw a swerve in there and then all of a sudden have Sami Zayn running around with the IC title and being that annoying little prick that he can be.
Yeah.
So, I think that would be really entertaining. But I think Braun retains here. He just got the title, so I don't see them taking it off. But I'm not happy about it.
Fair enough. Parrish, your final words.
if it's a perfect world, you just put the damn title on Cesaro. Period. But it's WWE, and they're gonna go with Braun Strowman against Sheamus at WrestleMania. So Braun Strowman
Which I've
gets a
got no
pin,
issue
and he's
with.
gonna pin Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yep. I can see
Should
that
we
happening
make
now.
bets on who he pins?
Well,
I would think Nakamura is the guy.
I bet the
Well,
$5 that Ben Uman owes me.
I'm going to say Sami Zayn. I'm going to say Sami Zayn because he is the guy who is least utilized as a
build it up.
wrestler. Exactly.
They kind of built that up as well.
Yeah. I like the idea, though. You know, you mentioned Braun Strowman versus Sheamus at WrestleMania. I think that would be an excellent Intercontinental Championship match because not that they're like the same sort of like monster status guys, but like there are a few guys out there who believably can outstrong to totally fuck my grammar up. Can outstrong Braun Strowman. Outmuscle. There we go.
No, but say
Sheamus realistically, like at least looks like he could compete with a Braun Strowman.
But we
I
say
like that
that,
idea.
but it's
I
a
think that'd be big,
well-known
man.
thing that Cesaro is one of the, if not strongest guys in WWE.
Yep,
and it's been honestly touted by the workers themselves.
Yep.
And it just shows you how much they haven't done with him because he has everything you can want out of him.
and nothing is ever done.
Fair enough, man.
It's
But
just that connection with the crowd.
And I do feel like that's a conversation. That's a conversation we may have to, hopefully have to, save for the WrestleMania edition of OTTR Live, because I would love to talk about Cesaro more. But, gentlemen, there are two Elimination Chamber matchups on this evening. My favorite, again, stipulation matchup that the WWE has created in the last, I'd say, 20 years. Very excited for this one. Of course, the pre-show starting, as you can hear Rich mentioning right now. So, time to get down to Beercade YEG. We've only got 2 more Elimination Chamber matchups.
And
to
one more,
chat
and
about.
one more match.
One more matchup outside of that. Well, come on. You guys don't even let me finish. Spencer likes to talk, but let's shut him up early.
Jesus, Mike. What a preview show.
Hey, be quiet. Mike's talking now.
It happens.
As soon as Mike starts to talk, I'll fire you right now.
Hey.
You're a guest.
He gets a vote.
You know what, Spencer, since you're really determined to talk about chamber matches, let's talk about one of the chamber matches right now.
All right, let's do that.
Since Rich was talking about the tag teams, let's just talk about all the tag teams on the SmackDown right now in the chamber match.
Except one.
Well, the Revival, but
Let's not say yeah.
Well, we got Rune Ziggler, we got Heavy Machinery, the Lucha Dragons, the Usos, the New Day, and the champions Miz and Morrison. Your thoughts?
One of those teams is not like the other ones.
I'm very excited on this one. I love me an Elimination Chamber matchup, and I think that, like you say that the one team is not like the other, but I do think that every team will add something cool to this matchup. Like, despite the fact that the Lucha Dragons or Lucha House Party or whatever the hell you want to call them now, like they are definitely the quote-unquote jobbers in this match, but they still could potentially add, again, if given the right circumstances, something interesting to this matchup. They are terrific high flyers, and those are, again, the guys that potentially could be the quickest pin of the match, but still could provide something cool. Now, the rest of the teams in this matchup, I think all of them you could make a case for as far as why they could head into WrestleMania as champions. Personally, though, I think a lot of my picks on this have been based on the fact that you're heading into WrestleMania. Very rarely in this preceding couple episodes to WrestleMania of like Raw, SmackDown, and even of NXT, do you see a title change? So I feel like a lot of the people who leave this with a title will be your people heading into WrestleMania. Personally, I think that the best tag team heading into WrestleMania to be your tag team champions are the New Day. And I do know that would sort of make the title switch at Super Showdown a moot point, but you saw what happened with Kofi Kingston heading into WrestleMania last year. You saw how much people got behind him. He was already a recognizable face heading into that. Now he's a recognizable face to more people, and I think that if, again, you want to bring WrestleMania, the biggest event of the year on the wrestling calendar, if you want to bring it to the biggest audience possible, you've got to bring the people who are most well-known to the widest audience. Now, the counterpoint to that is I think that if it's not the New Day, then it has to be Miz and Morrison, because you do, again, have the Miz in everybody's home with Miz and Mrs. You've got all of that, and they're new champs. It's always cool to see the chase for a championship. I just think that whether it's at Elimination Chamber, whether it's at WrestleMania, the New Day will be champs sooner rather than later. It just depends on whether they win it at the next pay-per-view or whether they win it at this one for me.
Yeah,
personally, I just think it's better to have them win it this one. Win it at this one.
You know what's cute?
Mumble mouth.
You know what's real cute? You thinking Vince McMahon is creative about the tag team division.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Like, if that's the case, the Revival would have a new deal. But, to be honest, Miz and Morrison are going to walk into WrestleMania as tag team champions, and if that's the case, they're going to want to have the New Day have a straight-up tag match with Miz and Morrison. And in a perfect world, you see Xavier Woods returns to help the New Day win the tag team titles, and everything's good, because apparently the New Day are the only three-man tag team that can actually get away with having the odd man advantage in a positive way.
Well, it's the power of positivity, Parrish.
Yeah, positivity.
Feel the power, baby.
Is a give the Revival new contracts. But
not happening.
With that being said, I look at Heavy Machinery being your dark horse, because I look at their gauntlet match they had on SmackDown, and they were in the ring for around an hour. They worked their tails off, and I do believe we could very much see Heavy Machinery against Miz and Morrison at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. And I think that might actually be the better play going in, because I think this is a time where you allow Otis and Tucker that opportunity to see if they are a team that you can rely on. And I think they proved it on SmackDown.
Now, Rich, I'll let you get the first point in on this, and I'll let you get your point in as far as the overall match goes. But the question I want to pose to both of you is, you've seen it over the last couple of years, whether it's been Seth Rollins, whether it's been Kofi Kingston, whether it's been, like you mentioned, with Heavy Machinery. Is the gauntlet match the best, the most effective match as far as getting somebody or somebodies over in a single match that you guys can think of?
I think
Because
respect for
it
the
works
fans,
every
100%.
time. Okay.
I think it gets the fans just involved with you, and they get emotionally attached with you, and it's always a baby face that gets the rub. You said Seth Rollins, he did the hour. You saw Kofi Kingston, he did the hour. Now we saw Heavy Machinery, they do the hour. They're all baby faces, and now the fans are emotionally invested in
Even
all
you look at R-Truth at Super Showdown, which is a show I never watched, but the way he ran through Bobby Lashley, he runs through Andrade,
babyface.
like, it worked. Rich, give us your overall thoughts, give us your final thoughts, and then we'll move on, Mike, too.
Yeah, so
the non-elimination chamber match.
My take on what you just mentioned with the gauntlet match is you have to have the foundation in place first. So I feel like the gauntlet match is just the cherry on top.
Okay.
To make sure that the fans are 110%
Really
behind
drive
that
the
guy.
point home.
Because again, you mentioned R-Truth as a guy right now. He's so entertaining, and people want to see him succeed. So then you see him and you watch him through this whole story of having to struggle through these matches, through this adversity. So you get behind him more and more and more and just want to see these people succeed. So that's why I think the gauntlet match is kind of a nice cherry on top.
Okay.
But I don't think you can take just anybody, throw them in a gauntlet match, and all of a sudden they're going to be over with the fans.
Okay,
right?
makes sense.
You put Humberto Carrillo in there, I don't think the fans are going to be cheering his name at the very end.
Fair enough.
You put Baron Corbin in that position, I can guarantee you the fans aren't cheering his name.
So just hearing you guys talk about the tag team division, the tag team titles, in my perfect world, probably on Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler.
Who do have the last entry after that gauntlet
Who
match,
have the
right?
last entry. They're a heel team. They're two single guys still tagging.
And that goes far in WWE.
And that goes
I
all
think Bobby
the
Roode's
way.
married.
What's that?
Said they're two single guys.
Well, two singles wrestlers.
We all know Dolph can't hold a relationship.
When Mike's rolling.
Anyways, all right. Let me get my goddamn point in. So I can see them winning the titles in the Elimination Chamber because it would be a good transition to get the titles off of Miz and Morrison, but onto another heel team.
Okay.
And then have Heavy Machinery go against them and have that feel-good moment at WrestleMania.
I like that.
They win the titles. Maybe Otis gets the Mandy Rose on top of it. Maybe he doesn't. But in the end, they kind of have that feel-good moment. WrestleMania. I don't think there's a more Well, that's a lie. New Day's always entertaining.
Mandy Rose on
Usos
top is a
always
feel-good
entertaining.
moment.
Anything with Mandy Rose is a
You
feel-good
wouldn't
moment.
know.
But having Otis and Tucker,
Veronica
Otis is
Vaughn.
one of the most
What I
like.
was thinking.
Let me get my damn words in, guys.
Got his big school words.
Anyways,
No yelling on
Otis,
the bus.
Otis is one of the more popular guys right now, so I'm gonna say Bobby Roode, Dolph
like
Ziggler,
that.
take the titles, go up against Heavy Machinery.
Okay.
And then they have to kind of figure out what all these other talented guys are gonna do because you can't have WrestleMania with no New Day. You can't have it without the Usos. You can't have it with Miz and Morrison sitting on the background, right?
It's a good problem
you
to
need
have when you've
those
got this
people in
many
there.
potential storylines heading into your biggest show of the year,
Yeah.
right? Like, but Mike, okay, let's talk about the dumb match.
I think we are Mike's dumb match right now.
No comment.
A triple threat.
You're supposed to say I digress. I was really thinking
This
on
is
that.
the worst triple threat I've been in
For-
24 hours.
For
so.
the Raw Tag Team Championships, we have the Street Profits taking on Seth Rollins and Murphy, who's a buddy of Seth Rollins.
Which was great. Let's just go back to Kevin Owens a couple of weeks ago. That was absolutely fantastic. But in a similar vein, I don't think that you need to put the championships back on Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy coming back from their championship loss a couple of weeks ago, or even, was it on Monday night?
Monday night, yeah.
There we go. My apologies. So 6 days ago then. They're wildly entertaining. I remember I got to go see them in NXT and TakeOver on Toronto a couple of months ago, and I didn't like them very much heading into it, man, but they've just they're so good. Number one, you really gain a new respect for not just them, but any professional wrestler for the most part going to see them live. But B, they're just so wildly entertaining. People love them. Bringing that to a stadium like you will in Tampa Bay, I think, is just going to be absolutely huge to get a couple of new tag teams relevant. And man, there's just no reason to do it, especially if they are, like we talked about earlier in the show, heading into a Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens feud going into WrestleMania. I think that you could utilize Murphy with the AOP, perhaps get them into some sort of 6-man tag team match or something along those lines, again, to get everybody who deserves to be on a WrestleMania card on a WrestleMania card. But I don't see a reason to lose this. I think that you could see this be the sort of quote-unquote clusterfuck match where Kevin Owens gets involved and the AOP gets involved and Samoa Joe gets involved and A, B, and C all factor into the finish. But I think that they all factor into the Street Profits retaining the Raw Tag Team titles.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's all I have to say about that.
100% I agree, because I honestly look, this is just a setup for Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins to have their match at WrestleMania. I wouldn't be surprised if the main angle in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal comes down to Murphy versus Samoa Joe. And I think that finally gives me a reason to care about that match, since Cesaro slamming Big Show over the rope.
Okay, let's just get real here. The Matt Hardy Bray Wyatt angle that played out a couple of years ago.
That was pretty.
Also
pretty
very
good, yeah.
cool as far as the Andre the Giant Battle Royal goes. I really liked it. Maybe it's just because they're, again, two personal favorites, but
There's moments to be had on the undercard.
Well, while
right?
the Andre the Giant could be better, number one, I'm a sucker for a Battle Royal, so that ties me in a bit. And B, I just love me some Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. I really, really do. They're so good.
With that, getting
Let's-
back to this tag match, though.
Yeah.
My apologies. You make
No,
your picks.
we can rant on Mania matches or just all of this.
I was going to say, this is the first time we're not running over in a long time.
Let's slow it on down.
Schedule match times.
Okay, so the story.
You're only saying that because my mic was off. Yes, we are going to be running over.
Oh, no, we were chirping you the whole time your mic's off.
Anyway.
But yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for the Street Profits just to cement themselves as the tag team on Monday Night Raw going into WrestleMania, and that is a huge compliment from Vince and that creative direction to the Street Profits.
Well, they did it right. It was the slow burn. It was bringing them on, what were they, a couple of months, or simply doing sort of the backstage segments?
the hosts.
Not like, sort of not doing news reports, but reporting on sort of the last segment and what's coming up next. You saw how many people got involved with them, whether it's Ric Flair. Like, they really built it right. In WWE, you would rather a little too long with something.
Star of the future for WWE. Just his charisma, his mannerisms, like, it's amazing, right? But there's no way that Seth Rollins and Murphy are going to be taking home the titles again. I think this is a good way to transition AOP back into kind of the tag team title hunt and get, Seth Rollins back into a singles run, Murphy into kind of lower card material, where it might be going after a U.S. championship, having a couple secondary feuds, or just being a henchman of Seth Rollins in the AOP, right? So there's a lot of different directions they can go with that unit, and I hope they keep them together, because I'm a big fan of stables and factions and having those groups. It makes a lot of storyline possibilities. I think this time around you'll see Kevin Owens not get involved until after the match. I think you'll have a big kind of brawl at the very end. KO comes out. I really like what they're doing with Kevin Owens. They're making him much more of a special attraction, and I think he can be their main babyface. Is what I should put an asterisk on that. But again, they're treating him like a very special wrestler. You only get to see him so many times, and it's usually only in main spots against Orton, against Rollins, right? In these situations.
Against Umberto.
Well, one of the big ones is they're not portraying him as an idiot babyface. They're actually making him smart, and he's always been an intelligent heel, but they're carrying that intelligence over as a babyface, which I think is important for him to get credibility.
What made him a good heel is what's making him a good babyface as well. It's relatable, and again, he's kind of the closest thing to a Stone Cold we have in this generation.
I agree. I think you guys are completely right. I'll make my point quickly, but like you say, like, he is a special attraction. You haven't been overexposed to a guy like Kevin Owens like you sort of saw with the Seth Rollins. And one of my favorite things about Kevin, and it's a fairly generic motivation, but the need to provide, like, sort of being the decisions, he's just going after people who have wronged him, whether it's the right reasons or the wrong reasons. It works great for him. But let's talk about the final Elimination Chamber matchup. I think that this one is the match that I'm most excited for, but the one that, at least for me, has been on the surface the most easy to predict.
And this is the number one contendership, like viewers wanted.
Yeah.
And on International Women's Day, we have the going last for us, apparently. It'll be the Women's Chamber match with Natalya, Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler, Asuka, Sarah Logan, and
Ruby Riott.
Ruby Riott. Ugh. Wow, my brain's going crazy right now.
You know, it's fun to look at their faces in this here monitor. We've got to look at our
Mike,
faces.
you're not the only one
as
to
they're
get a
looking.
little
We're
tongue
fixing that
crazy
next
when
month.
there's 6 women involved.
Grow up, Parrish. Act your age, not your
Anyway,
shoe size. Now,
the match.
Damn it.
Can you
No.
imagine what a flub it would be if they don't put this match on last on International Women's Day?
well, and just
They're probably
based
going to put
on-
it first.
African Americans
And
went
for
0-6 to celebrate Black History Month at Saudi
No.
Arabia show.
Okay, that's
Saudi
WWE's
Arabia
just
show.
shitty.
I don't know.
Okay, now
They don't.
I got you to curse.
But anyways,
Me? Oh, I curse often. I know.
sorry, I just had to throw
obviously.
that out there.
I think that even just based on how these matches have been built, this deserves to go on last because I think, number one, that contract signing, it happens fairly rarely as far as WWE goes, but this contract signing actually went out of its way to not only entertain for the individual episode of Raw it was on, but serve to push some storylines forward. Like, you know, it's such a subtle detail that gets picked up online, but Liv Morgan just literally diving out of her chair to go
was
and attack
amazing.
Ruby Riott, you know? The whole interaction between Shayna Baszler and Asuka, the way Natalya sort of
me.
stepped in as the quote-unquote veteran role model, right? Like, everybody in this
How
match.
Sarah Logan cut all ties as the referee. And,
I think that
that was excellently
this
portrayed,
match,
too.
you know, I understand why people would have their hesitations, because a lot of the individuals in this matchup are individuals who haven't been prominently featured. You don't have any of the 4 horsewomen in this match, which when you get a big stipulation match,
On this
you're
card.
usually going to have a few of them, right? There's no Bayley, there's no Sasha. These are all people who could make a presence felt. I think that Becky Lynch is somehow going to make her presence known, maybe not in the match, but come out and hold the title or whatever it is. But
be there.
none of them are advertised to be part of the card tonight, and I think that is a huge statement as far as the quality of where the women's division really stands, because it's difficult whether you look at the tag teams, the women, the men, whoever. You're not going to get everybody talented on nearly enough, whoever you look at. And I love the fact that you're getting people who, Natalya is really the only established woman in this match to a casual wrestling fan. You know, the Riot Squad, wrestling fans like a lot of them.
You don't think Asuka is as well?
I don't think they're a casual
don't think
fan.
so. I agree. You know, I think that loss at WrestleMania to Charlotte really took a lot away. Not as far as has her prestige, not as far as how she's viewed as a wrestler, but to a casual fan, yeah, I understand how that would sort of set her back a bit. You know what I mean? I think that Natalya is really the only one, whether it's through her work with Total Divas, whether it is the fact that she's just been with the promotion for 10 or 11 years, like, adds a lot to that. Shayna's established, but only as far as NXT goes. Ruby's established, but only because she faced Charlotte Flair, and wrestling fans know who she is.
And she had the
Liv
stable.
Morgan's popular online. You know, Sarah Logan really hasn't done a ton up until the last couple of months. Asuka, again, you've got the right there. Kairi Sane, you look same sort of thing as Shayna Baszler to a lesser degree, is she's established as far as the NXT audience goes. And I think that it's undersold that NXT, until they went on TV, really didn't establish people to a casual fan. It established them to WWE fans, but not like a casual wrestling fan. So there's my long-winded rant, just because I felt I had the time. Only on the fact that I think that the winner of this is obvious. The way they've built it, they haven't brought out Becky Lynch to challenge Kairi or Asuka or Ruby Riott. It's going to be Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania. Shayna Baszler's winning this match. I'm more than prepared to eat my words if she doesn't, but I've got no doubt in my mind that Shayna Baszler walks away as the #1 contender.
Oh, I 100% believe that Ronda Rousey will help Shayna Baszler beat Becky Lynch at WrestleMania for the title. So I'm 100% behind Shayna Baszler winning the match. I picked her to win the Women's Royal Rumble, and I still believe that would have been the proper call, because I honestly do not understand the point of having the winner of the Royal Rumble not featured on your A or B show. And with that being said, I believe Shayna Baszler is going to get that, because again, you said they wouldn't devote so much time to an angle unless you're actually going to have a plan for
I
it.
do want to touch on that again, Rich. We'll get your thoughts. We'll get your thoughts first, because I'm going to rant again.
Yeah, it's funny though, because as we're kind of talking about this show,
Sorry, Mike.
You're a ref. You can cut us off whenever you want.
I mentioned
After
at the
game would be nice.
I mentioned at the start that this felt like a very underwhelming card, but I also think it's doing a good job of giving the people it needs to more exposure.
Yep.
And trying to make some new stars. So I can really appreciate kind of this card, because like you mentioned, there's no 4 horsewomen on this show, period, as of right now.
Shayna Baszler.
Not
4
that
horsewomen
one.
of MMA, you dick.
Hey, he haven't specified
You're
it.
such a dick.
Hey.
Anyways, I would be interested in going back in the WWE pay-per-views and actually seeing when the last time that actually happened.
Yep.
When those ladies weren't on a card. So it's giving more exposure to all these people. Liv Morgan's return has been super underwhelming.
I think so too.
I think there's more to do with kind of that Riot Squad group internally between the 3 of them, rather than exposing that outwards. Natalya is always a workhorse in there. She's always good to have in matches. Unfortunately, she kind of falls into that Dolph Ziggler kind of area, where
That's a
she's
perfect comparison.
really, really great at what she does, but just doesn't have that next level. Or
She's plateaued.
she's plateaued, right? She's kind of hit that peak in that level. She's had a couple title runs. They haven't really gone much. She'll always kind of be a threat, but she's never going to be the top lady.
Yep.
And that's okay. It's not a bad
The
spot to
San
have
Jose
at all.
Sharks.
San Jose Sharks is perfect, actually. So yeah, I think it really comes down to both Shayna Baszler, with us just seeing Asuka versus Becky Lynch, and the fact that Asuka still holds a tag team title. I think we see Shayna Baszler 100% of the way. Couldn't agree with you guys more. It's going to be Shayna versus Becky at WrestleMania.
NXT is going to go through a bit of a down period, because you need to take the time to establish new talents. But if WWE doesn't use these sort of B pay-per-views, you know, you look at this, you look at even Hell in a Cell, you look at Great Balls of Fire, which is still the best name of all time as far as a pay-per-view goes. If you don't use those times to sort of establish your secondary talents as even reasonable threats, you know, you use Natalya. You know, not everybody can be the top person, but you need to have those individuals who you can either play at any time to be a reasonable threat. You need threat forever, quote unquote. You need to take that time, and I think that, like you said, Rich, you hit the nail on the head perfectly, is this one maybe has felt a little bit underwhelming because you don't have those top stars, right? Like, The Fiend's not on this, Roman Reigns isn't on this, Rollins is in a tag team matchup where he's not really even been the featured player as far as it goes. This has been a bit of a transitional period for WWE over even the last month or so. But I think it's sorely needed. I think, you know, even when you look at the WrestleMania matchups, whether we agree with the Goldberg decision, whether we like how it presented The Fiend, it is an opportunity for, you look at The Fiend and Cena to finally right a wrong of a few years ago. Goldberg to put over a Roman Reigns, where it truly feels, at least in my opinion, a Roman Reigns is organically getting to be one of the biggest stars in WWE. It is a transitional
Not even Drew
period.
McIntyre on the show
Yeah,
either,
man.
who they're trying to
Drew
build as the
McIntyre's
biggest
not
guy
on
they
it.
have. So
Lesnar's not advertised, and again, this is all pending. Like
crazy.
all of these
WWE's
guys,
saving a lot of money on
all
the
of these guys
pay-per-view
could be
appearances.
backstage. You could get those appearances, but it's cool to see that you've got this opportunity to build these new stars. I love the fact that we're going to get a bit of a newer card out of WWE, and I think this is one of my sleeper picks for a pay-per-view of the year, because anytime the WWE goes out of their way to sort of underwhelm you, they always, in my opinion, will exceed expectations.
Exactly. These
that's a
are
good
always
point.
the shows that go here when you expect here. Always.
well, and there's enough
100%.
variety.
And here's my counter thing with when you said like it doesn't come across like a big pay-per-view because you don't have all these guys. maybe it's because they don't have enough of these pay-per-views to showcase these people as their guys. And I think that has been one of the things WWE doesn't do as well as they can. And Rich, I'll throw it to you as kind of the last comments to this, of just like your overall thoughts of how you think Elimination Chamber is going to be.
Coming into it, like I said, I was very underwhelmed, but talking about it a little bit more, I'm more excited. There's a lot of variety on this show, which can always lead to a great pay-per-view. Because if you just have, again, you can have amazing matchups, but if it's just one great match after another, you even get a little burnt out from that.
Yep.
Right? So you have some tag team matches, you have the Elimination Chambers, you have an Elimination Chamber tag team match.
Variety is the spice
You
of
have
life.
Gulick versus Bryan, which can be a technical dream. You have AJ versus Alistair, which can be a big story-driven, no DQ match, which can add more different elements in there, where they can go out of the ring, which the Elimination Chamber can't. So I think there's enough variety that this has potential to do exactly what you said. I'm going to hold out hope just because of what I've seen with WWE over recent months and years. Every time I start to get a little bit of hopeful that they're going to do a certain thing, kind of feed the fans a little bit more, they kind of take that away from people.
Yeah.
And they kind of want to keep you hopeless while keeping a little bit of hope there. So I'm always a little hesitant when I'm giving out things, but yeah, I think this has every potential to be a great pay-per-view in the end. It's just up to the talent to make it work.
You put it excellently, my friend. Now, let's wrap her up real quick because I know that the pay-per-view is getting started here real quick.
Yeah.
So, Rich, Parrish, I'm going to let the both of you plug where people can find you, either whether it's wrestling, whether it's on social media, where can people keep track of yourselves? Because before we close out this edition of Over the Top Rope Live, we've got a shirt to give away and we've got some exciting information heading into the next pay-per-view that I've got to deliver, and you guys know me, I don't like interrupting people. So get your stuff out there first. Rich, I'll let you go first before I thank you for appearing on this edition of OTTR Live.
Not again on this episode, eh? Well, I'll fight tooth and claw to come to more. So I want to be on the WrestleMania one. Schedule me in for that one really quick. But yeah, so you can find me on Instagram as primary wrestling side of things at RK_wrestling. You can find me on Facebook, Rich King. You can find it Rich King Wrestling as well as another page. Next up for the wrestling matches, March 13th, next Friday, I'll be in Vegreville with Real Canadian Wrestling. I believe on the 28th, I will be with them again in Panoka. And then on April 4th, we will be on the MPW card, I think, suitingly titled The Return at the Alberta Ave Community Hall, 7 p.m. start time. Contact your local wrestlers for tickets. That means me.
But I have them if you want to come to Beercade tonight. And
Well played.
veteran move. You can find me, of course, at Chris Parrish on the Twitter, at Chris.Parrish on the Instagram. Also want to shout out to Rich King. Thank you for coming. Also, go check him out. This guy is a workhorse of the gym. This does not come naturally. He busts his ass for it. Please support him for it. Just like please support Spencer Love. Please support Mike Malawani.
However you say his name.
It's Mike Maloney, but it is me. But at the same time, I'm going to be at PPW Pure Pathbridge, March 28th. Pure Power Wrestling for their tickets. Spencer.
Thank you very much, and as always, gentlemen, great to have you on Over the Top Rope Live here on Backbreaker Media, a proud division of the Win Column Sports Network, which, of course, you know is your source for previews, reviews, breaking news, and interviews from the Canadian pro wrestling scene. We've got lots of great content coming up, whether it's Over the Top Rope Live, whether it's the fine folks over at the WrestleSode podcast, Monday Night Shaw, the Okanagan Wrestling Review, or any of the fine promotions we've got here in Edmonton, Alberta. We've got you covered through the WCSN. Now, of course, if you are a follower of the WCSN, or if you just happen to come across our post on social media, you know that we were doing a giveaway over the last week or so, courtesy of the fine folks at ProWrestlingTees.com, as well as God's Gift to Wrestling, Michael Richard Blaze himself. This fine shirt, which I am holding up, I'm really bad at folding things. Thanks, Rich. Really bad at folding things. Perfect. This Michael Richard Blaze shirt was up for grabs for fans of the Win Column Sports Network. We did a draw earlier today through an independent mediator, my girlfriend, who drew a name, the name that we have winning the Michael Richard Blaze shirt, Jordan Kropla, I believe is how you pronounce it. If Jordan Kropla is your name, or Kropla, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, please contact the WCSN Facebook page directly, or really any of our social media channels. You can find us on Twitter at Win Column Sports. You can find us at Win Column Sports on Instagram. Please feel free to get a hold of us. We will get the shirt to you whichever way is easiest for you. But you are our winner of the Michael Richard Blaze shirt. Stay tuned to the Win Column Sports Network for any giveaways, for your previews, reviews, breaking news, and interviews. As mentioned earlier, I know they're waiting to say something, so by this point, I'm just vamping to delayed gentlemen.
I
What else
forgot
can I
one
get
place
from
you can
ya?
find me, and that is the Sherwood Park Arena for the Sherwood Park Crusaders playoff run this year. Let's go, Crusaders.
110%. Mike, I'll let you have the final word after I let you know that March 13th, 14th, unless any of the first round series go to 7 games in the AJHL playoffs, we will be at the Sherwood Park Arena taking on whoever our second round opponent may be. Mike, final words before we close out on OTTR Live.
All right, as this is our season finale of OTTR Live tonight, our next broadcast is going to be the big one. It's going to be Wrestlemania.
April 8th, if I remember correctly.
April 5th, 3:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight
I thought
Time.
Wrestlemania was a Wednesday.
We got brand new entrance. We got new screens coming up, and I want to give a special shout out to a man watching, Dave Mercer, in the chat room, who produced our new show opening.
Handsome gentleman.
Absolutely.
Handsome gentleman. Lots of great stuff going on,
And
of
we
course.
are also going to have the Pick'em Challenge.
We will now. Again, stay tuned to the WCSN social media, the Win Column Sports Network's Elite Championship, the WCSN Elite Championship, unavailable to be here today. Some finishing touches getting done on the championship title for the Win Column Sports
I thought Nate
Network.
Nixon tried to use it last night for the Ripper title.
Hey, he didn't.
He didn't get to, but
either way, that will be here for WrestleMania on April 5th, as I incorrectly assessed earlier as April 8th. But that'll be here. Of course, Parrish and myself, Rich King, will be joining us on the show. As far as I'm aware, Anthony Graham of the WrestleSode podcast and a ton of members of the indie wrestling community here in Edmonton will be joining us. Come join us now, 105th Street and 82nd Ave in Edmonton, Alberta. Beercade YEG is your home of Edmonton professional wrestling. Come down for some drinks, some eats, and some great pro wrestling courtesy of the WWE. For Rich King, for Mike, for Chris Parrish, I'm Spencer Love of the WCSN. Thank you for tuning in. We will talk to you at WrestleMania.